So we're talking to Beth then. She works as the Crisis Centre Manager for Mind BLMK, and you can find out more information on their website, mind-blmk.org.uk. What on earth is a Crisis Cafe, Beth? No idea. I mean, is it where the plates are smashed? I mean, is it like 40 Towers? That's what I really want to know.
Yeah. So a Crisis Cafe, yeah, it's not very self-explanatory, is it? But essentially, crisis cafes are designed to be spaces that people can come to when they're experiencing mental distress, or they're in a crisis, or they're approaching one. So it's a they operate out of hours. They run 7 nights a week, 5 to 11 p.m. and they are designed as an alternative to A&E or blue light service. So traditionally speaking, what you would do if you reached a mental health crisis in the past would that you would access, or you would go to A&E, or you would see a medical professional, and sometimes A&E isn't the most appropriate place for you to go if you're feeling like that. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But these crisis cafes are designed to be an alternative, to give people an option if it's just if they feel just by talking to somebody that they might be able to kind of work through it, and hopefully their crisis will be de-escalated. So they're physical places that people can come to, knock on the door, don't need an appointment, come and talk to somebody on a one-to-one basis to see what they're going through. So we can offer advice on kind of coping strategies and distraction techniques. We can offer advice and guidance around signposting, but most importantly, we can just listen, and we can be and give people a space to not be judged, and to it's almost like a social model to crisis cessation rather than kind of medical intervention. And we know that in 90% of cases, that's what people need. I mean, in 10% of cases, people need intervention, like sort of more severe intervention. But we found that we've got kind of a 94% de-escalation rate just by giving people a space to be heard, because that's important. But yeah, so the physical space people can come to out of hours to talk to somebody if they're feeling distressed. We've had to adapt our crisis cafes recently. So instead of people being able to just turn up, we're just trying to kind of monitor social distancing at the moment. People do need to have an appointment, but yeah, so it's operating slightly differently at the moment. So people have appointments, and then they have a one-to-one, and then they go home. But crisis cafes in general are designed to be a social space. So people, as well as having that one-to-one, they'll also mingle, and they'll also talk to other people there, and they'll have a cup of tea, and they'll have a cup of coffee, and they'll talk. And so that's not there quite so much at the moment, but we hope to reintroduce that when it's safe to do so. But we've also introduced a crisis line. So at the moment, what we're doing is we've got the face-to-face stuff, but we've also got this crisis line which we introduced last year, which is great, because now we've got two things. So if people don't feel comfortable for whatever reason coming out in the evening, or they struggle they're not mobile, or they feel anxious about coming to a door, which is quite common, they can ring. So we've got two alternatives now to access crisis support in the evenings, which has been a really good positive for us and good learning this year. So yeah.
That's brilliant. I think the fact that you're willing to adapt, and willing to kind of make those changes. This shows an organization that cares, and I think you've had to, like most people, do that, and the forward thinking ones have done it already, and it looks like you've got that in hand. So yeah, no, a cup of coffee always wins for me. I tell you what, I'm melted at the heart, even with a slight biscuit on the side. You never know. So tell me, so like, it's Wednesday, right? You've given us a top tip about walking, getting out there, doing something actively joy. I told the wife about this, and she said, go and joyfully use the Hoover. I think that I'm blaming Beth for that. I'm genuinely blaming Beth for that. Secondly, you said about reaching out, and that was great. Honestly, I haven't spoken to my sister since Christmas, so we had a little chinny yesterday. It was brilliant. Thank you so much for that. But what about today? Look, we're halfway through the week. What is it? A good mental health tip for us?
What's something that I like to do halfway through the week, or just every day, is do a little check-in with myself. So, and I kind of covered it yesterday, but one of these things. But so what I do is I ask myself, because sometimes what we need is just the foundations. Because sometimes if those foundations aren't covered, we can't deal with other things on top of that. So it's just making sure, having a little check-in with myself. Or this week leading up to this point, and will I continue to do this and for the rest of the week, have I eaten some nutritionally dense food? Am I hydrated? Have I slept well? And have I moved my body in a joyful way? Okay. And if those 4 things are covered, if those foundations are in place, it's not the answer to everything, but at least you've got those basic physical things covered, and then hopefully your resources are you're able to deal with life a little bit better, just because you feel a bit better in yourself and your basic needs are met. And like I say, it doesn't mean that things aren't going to be difficult, because they maybe are, but I a little check-in on a Wednesday, just to make sure those things are covered, and then you can deal with the rest of the stuff. But as long as you're kind of at that basic level, kind of looking after yourself.
Definitely. For me, I mean, Beth, for me, sleep is all important. I know I eat well, and I know I do other things joyfully, but sleeping, man, if I stay up too late or whatever, watching, binging on a Netflix or whatever, whoo, you forget that it's like, oh my gosh, tomorrow still is available. I'm a little bit of a grouchy. Beth, we're talking to Beth. She is the manager of the Crisis Centre for Mind BLMK. And you can find out more information, by the way, on mind-blmk.org.uk.